Hello and welcome, Exiles, to the Day 3 update to the Guardian Righteous Fire. We are currently at level 93, 17,000 ES, and we've played for roughly a day and an hour, or a day and 2 hours, roughly more like it. So far, the biggest progression we've made on the character, the biggest change you'll notice in the gearing is we are now using a Esh's Visage. This shield has a very specific line which says, chaos damage taken does not bypass energy shield while not on low life. That means if we're just above 50%, 50.001% life, you know, just one life above half, we are not considered on low life, and therefore chaos damage cannot bypass our ES. This is specifically allowing us to invest into a bunch of ES gear, and then we no longer have to worry about a life flask in order to prevent ourselves from dying for chaos damage. It was very, very scuffed setup for that first day and a half of, or day of gameplay, I guess, because now we're on this setup, where we're always in danger of things like that. And now we no longer have that risk, and that's how we're doing it. I have to say, right now, just judging off of the current progress of this character and the stuff we have set up, I'm not convinced this shield is the correct... I didn't mean to take off my chest piece in the middle of the fight there. I just bricked some auras, I think. What did I brick? My discipline aura. Okay, anyway, sorry. I wasn't convinced that the Esh's Vicious Shield is better than Coruscating Elixir. With my tree, the biggest thing I think I'm going to change, I think I'm going to go to Balbala. I think between this shield and Balbala, I think Balbala is better. Late game, we'll have this exact mod you see on this shield, but it's on a Grasping Male chest piece, which we will use to transfer onto a Twilight Regalia. So that's what we'll end up doing, and it looks like he's going to drop us the shield. Savalid? No, just some runes. So no Saval for us, unfortunate. But anyways, as I was saying, I'm not convinced currently that this is better than Coruscating Elixir. It has the advantage of, okay, we can run occasionally if we do tormented mods, that one mod that can turn off our flask, that's not a risk, which it is a risk with Balbala. But I'm not necessarily convinced currently that that very outside case that you just don't run into often is worth it. Now, if you're in hardcore, absolutely use this over Coruscating. I would not run Coruscating hardcore. You misplay once on hardcore with Coruscating where you forget to turn off, just like you lapse a judgment, you die to something stupid. It's not worth it. But in softcore, I gotta be honest, I think Coruscating is probably just the play over what we currently have on our character with the Esh's Shield. Now, I started with Chimera because it's like the longest fight. I was thinking I was gonna do all three of, or all the whole Guardian rotation, but that might be too long for the video, so we might just do Chimera, and then we'll do, I guess we could showcase, we can showcase like Hydra or something. We'll showcase one of the others just to give variety. And even then, did I forget to click Maven? I'm looking right now, I don't see Maven, and I don't think oh, there is Maven, okay. Usually Maven spawns in like extra bosses. I don't think I saw the extra boss, so I'm just a little bit confused. That's mainly what I'm, normally like that first phase is when the extra bosses spawn in, so I don't know what happened there with Maven. But anyways, as I was saying, gear progression, the thing we're going to go for next is probably going to be swapping the setup to Balbala. Speaking of which, it is just cheaper than this shield, or at least when I set the shield up, I had to get a Blessing of Esh, which was like 3 divines. I ended up opting to just run a bunch of Eshes. I think I ran about 10 Eshes before I dropped the Blessing, so it was much rarer than I expected. And Balbala will do just as good. The key with Balbala, though, is you need Eternal Youth. So that way, when your RF, or when Coruscating Elixir sets your life to 1, your life will then sustain back up, and it'll go back up, and you won't just outright turn off your Righteous Fire. Some people have asked me, how do you get your Righteous Fire to not turn off? Eternal Youth is how you do that. That being said, I think there's been people telling me that they run into a situation where with Eternal Youth, the Righteous Fire still gets turned off during Coruscating. I have not encountered this personally. I don't really know why this is. My best guess is either A, it's some sort of networking issue. Like sometimes there were some issues with predictive versus lockstep, I believe, previously on some others like Energy Blade, Spell Blade, Coruscating Elixir builds I've done. Or it could be a case where you just have a really low life, like HP number, in which case the life per second is low enough that for whatever reason the game registers the 1 HP before it registers the higher HP or the recovery of the HP. That's my two best guesses. I think the most likely solution is if you just increase your life number a little bit, or you increase your recharge rate a little bit, like say you get a recharge rate mod on like one suffix and one gear piece. That might work, where of course getting will no longer turn off your life. This is just an issue I have not personally encountered. I've had some people tell me about it, but I don't know how to solve it because I haven't had that issue. And so that's my best guess, I would say, as to what you could do to hopefully dissuade that issue. We'll go ahead and do this Hydra here is a little bit more showcase as well. I finished up talking about the progression. So anyways, as I was saying, the plan right now is to get ourselves a core scanning elixir flask set up where we're going to go Eternal Youth, and I'm probably going to put the Balbala Jewel here and go for like Onslaught Aura Effect, or potentially I could go here as well, as we have two notables within the range. Either of those spots will work. Potentially, even if you wanted to get more notables, I don't know if this hits this notable or not, but this is maybe a spot. Well, no, there's no keystones next to it, and you can't lose Zelto. So yeah, your main choices are going to be here or here. Both will work, and you want to go for like Onslaught, Aura Effect, stuff like that is very, very good. And that's what I'd probably recommend. And when you do Balbala, you go for 3 flasks. One of them has to be Core Scanning Elixir. All are, and you can go for your second flash, you can go for quartz if you want to go for like not getting like stuck in between monsters, or you can go for something like a another res flask. You can go for an armor flask if you want to start putting in more fizz mitigation. And then the third flask, I'd recommend doing a quicksilver. And I would do basically the flask that can't sustain with use when full. Like for example, armor flask and quicksilver, they require more charges and they have lower durations, whereas a res flask, if you just have charge recovery, those are going to last forever. Just use a reuse at the end of the flash use. And the way it works is you use that mod on core scanning and that mod if you use a second res flask or whatever you decide to do. And then every single time when you start the zone, you turn on your righteous fire, you turn on those 2 flasks, and you basically forget about it for the rest of the zone. That's probably what we're going to be ending up swapping to. That will allow us to get a stronger shield. I am considering a situation where we swap to a either rare shield or honestly Aegis. Guardian has a lot of armor synergy between the small nodes getting armor. We actually have a decent amount of armor on our tree between our notable at Sanctity and some of the other things we have. So I'm going to consider that as an option. You can also consider grabbing Determination as your Arrogance aura, because when you have core scanning, you don't have to be above low life. And then you can swap Flesh and Stone to your mana pool, or you can just drop Flesh and Stone in transaction for the Determination. You should be stronger fizz mitigation. You will be weaker for elemental mitigation, because Flesh and Stone works against all damage types, but ultimately our weakest point right now is our fizz mitigation on this character. Do I not have... Oh, I know what it is. I'm using the wrong atlas. I have an atlas for boss rushing, and I have an atlas for the necro mods with like a bunch of like strongbox stuff. And the atlas I have on right now must be, I must have the other atlas activated. I was just completely dumbfounded as to why Maven's not activating the extra bosses, because normally I've been doing that to get some additional map sustain, and she just hasn't been doing that, which has been a little bit confusing, and that makes sense now. All right, anyways, that is what it looks like doing a couple Guardians. I don't want to drag this video out doing 2 more Guardians, but currently that's our setup. We have a tooltip of about 800k. Our Scorching Ray is falling farther and farther behind. I am pretty close to the point where I'm going to swap Scorching Ray out for only being a utility. I might just run Scorching Ray with Infused Channeling, and that's it, and get back some more links. That way we get 10 DR from Infused Channeling, and then we can apply the extra minus 25 res for the exposure, and then free up some links to do more aura stuff. That's just on the books. This is our current setup here. We swapped to some cluster jewels with some max res on our jewels. That way when we drop Rise of the Phoenix, we still could get pretty good max res. We invested in a bit more aura effect between here and this extra cluster, and then 1 introspection jewel. This gets us to 60 aura effect, which means we get 8% recovery rate per aura. And then we added in level 1 precision, level 1 clarity, and a low level vitality. If I get more reservation space, I'd like to get a high level vitality for, you know, better regen, stuff like that. We're currently on the edge of sustain right now, only having, well, 2,000 regen or 27,000, whatever the 100% regen procs. As you can see, that's the recovery rate applying right now. 17,000 is much less than 27k, but it does that much because we have like, I don't know, 60, 70% recovery rate, whatever it is. We have a decent amount of recovery rate, which is why that's such a large number there. All right, anyways, that is a look at the day 3 update of Guardian. Hopefully you enjoyed it. As always, thanks for watching, Exiles. Take care and peace out. Have a good one.